Hello friends, welcome into College Football Now. I am your host Tom Downey, here unexpectedly with another head coaching candidate list because the Miami Hurricanes, well, they're not going to have Mark Richt anymore. Surprisingly, he retired early on Sunday. Now the Miami Hurricanes were very much a massive disappointment this year. They were a preseason top 10 team and finished 7-6, highlighted by an offensively disastrous performance against the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, I think in general, Miami is still chasing the glory days of the 1980s all the way through the early 2000s and the end of the Butch Davis era. 7-6, I think they're in better shape than where they were when Mark Richt arrived, but look, it wasn't that long ago they were number 2 in the polls last year, and then since then they have absolutely collapsed. So Mark Richt is out. Just seems like he didn't want to be the coach anymore. I think he was tired of losing and dealing with all the stress that comes along with it. So Miami now looking for a new head coach. We'll take you through 10 potential candidates. At number 10, we have to include him, but I'll tell you right now, this ain't going to happen. Urban Meyer. I've seen it all over my social media. I'm sure it's all over you for you guys. Miami Hurricanes as well, the message boards, Twitter, all that, Facebook, whatever. He is retiring from Ohio State as a coach again. And I know he's been mentioned by other fans. I don't think Urban Meyer would take the Miami Hurricanes job, though. I don't think it's a job he wants right now. There's no quarterback in place. It's nowhere near as good of a position as the Ohio State job was when he took over. So I don't think you'll see Urban Meyer head back to the state of Florida. Maybe he comes back at some point, but I don't think it's going to be with the Hurricanes, and not so quickly after bailing on Ohio State at the end of this year. All right, number 9, Manny Diaz. He would have been higher if this had happened all of 2 weeks ago. Instead, remember, he took the Temple job on December 12th. He was a logical replacement. Frankly, he was the best thing about the Mark Richt era at Miami. The defense, the turnover chain, the swag was back for the Hurricanes. And even though he's from Miami and he's a good defensive coordinator, and I know the Miami people like him, is he really going to bail on Temple so quickly? I have a tough time seeing Manny Diaz doing that, even if the Hurricanes offered him. Maybe they'll want to adjust things, but if you're Temple, I'm sure you're not letting Manny Diaz get away from you, since you literally just hired him all of 2.5 weeks ago. So if this happened on December 1st, Diaz would have made sense, but right now, I just don't think he's the most likely outcome. All right, don't laugh at me for number 8, but the report from the Miami Herald is that a couple prominent former Hurricanes players want former Jets and Bills head coach Rex Ryan to replace Mark Richt, which is strange. Now, Ryan reportedly has interest in the job. He has not coached at the college level this century. Was very briefly the defensive coordinator over at Kansas State under Bill Snyder. Was the DC at Oklahoma for a year in 1998. Wasn't that great as an NFL head coach. And by the way, I'm pretty sure I can guess the prominent players for the Hurricanes. You think prominent defensive players for Miami alumni. The 2 names you go to, right, are Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, right? Well, both those guys played under Rex Ryan. I think those are the 2 guys pushing for him. I would be stunned. I wouldn't like the hire because Rex Ryan hasn't coached again in college since 1999/98. So I don't think it'll go down, but I did want to make note of him because, well, that's all anyone seems to be talking about right now around this job. All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. You put down $50, they will give you an extra $60 for free. It is the best deal out there. Still some bowl games to bet on, so get in on the action for college football while you still can before we hit the lull that no one cares about for games. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. All right, number 7, Greg Schiano. I've seen his name mentioned, and it makes sense, right? The current Ohio State defensive coordinator was a Miami Hurricanes DC under Butch Davis, who, spoiler alert, we'll get to later on. And there are some folks around Miami that like him, but he was in the mix last time. But Ohio State's defense has been bad this year. That's impacted his stock and the whole disastering near hiring with the Tennessee Volunteers. So I'm sure Greg Schiano would take it in a heartbeat. But this kind of feels more like a fallback, worst case, man, we missed out on all the other top guys hire from Miami. I think they have their sights set on other options. All right, number 6, all aboard the Lane train, right? Maybe not so much. Look, I know the hype started last year after a good first year with FAU. but he's just he's 5-7 this year. No bowl game. Things struggled this year. And let's not forget how bad he was at USC and Tennessee. I know he was young and people change, but I don't really trust Lane Kiffin. The stock took a hit this year. Now, maybe he could bring in Jalen Hurts as a transfer quarterback, which I think would be a big boost for Miami since they clearly need quarterback help because Nick Rozier finally gone, but N'Kosi Perry, Jaron Williams, I don't think those are the answers. So Lane Kiffin checks in at number 6. I've seen some buzz around him, but I would be rather underwhelmed. So I'll ask you guys here with this options and his weigh in here. Do you trust Lane Kiffin as a head coach? Because I certainly don't. Type Y for yes, N for no. I don't trust him. Maybe he's changed. Let's see him do more and have more success at FAU. If you want one of the Florida International Atlantic whatever pro coaches, there's one out there who has a better record right now than Lane Kiffin. Either way, I'm typing in N for no. All right, number 5, Dana Holgorsen. And think about this because the strange report today is that Houston wants to get Dana Holgorsen, and they think they're going to get him. But if you're Dana Holgorsen, wouldn't you rather go to the Miami Hurricanes than the Houston Cougars? Much better place to recruit, much better program, much better conference, a better job overall. Miami makes way more sense for Holgorsen than for Houston, who apparently think Major Applewhite wasn't doing a good enough job. Yeah, they got blown in the bowl game, but whatever. 61-40 in 8 years at West Virginia. Miami needs some more offensive help. Why not Dana Holgorsen? If he really does want to leave West Virginia, Miami makes way more sense than Houston. All right, number 4 on the list, Mark Stoops, the Kentucky head coach. Now, Stoops has led UK to 3 straight bowl games, and they are 9-3 this year with a chance to get to 10 wins in their bowl game. And remember, he was the defensive backs coach at Miami from 2000 to 2003, also coached at USF and Florida State. Those are multiple ties around the state of Florida for Mark Stoops. That's a big reason why he checks in at number 4. I think he's a logical fit. There's already one report that he's high on the potential coaching list for Miami. So keep an eye out for Mark Stoops. At the very least, maybe he gets a big raise from UK this year with his name being mentioned. All right, number 3, Dino Babers. And Dino has led Syracuse to a successful season. 10-3 this year. To win 10 games in Syracuse, that is mighty impressive. Now, he did just sign a multi-year extension with Syracuse. But let's not forget here, those are just paper. That's just paper. Miami can afford Dino if they really want him. He's a sharp offensive mind. I'm a little surprised there wasn't more buzz around him. Ohio State reportedly had him on their list. Maybe the timing isn't quite right. But if Miami comes calling, I think Syracuse is going to be left out and having to go find a new head coach. All right, folks, if you didn't get what you want for Christmas, how about a Mizzen and Main shirt as a consolation prize? Go check them out. Comfortable.af. You guys are not going to find a more comfortable shirt, dressed or otherwise, than a Mizzen and Main shirt. Comfortable.af is a site because it does indeed check out. These shirts are comfortable as F. All right, into the top 2, and I know some Hurricane fans don't like this, but he is going to be a candidate, Butch Davis. Because if this year has taught us anything, it is just we are going back to the past, back to the future type mindset. Well, that's Miles at Kansas, Mac Brown at North Carolina, and potentially Butch Davis at FIU. Now remember, 2 decades ago, 95 to 2000, Hurricanes coming off really bad sanctions, and Butch Davis gets them back, and then leaves for the NFL, and things kind of fall apart, and then got in trouble at North Carolina, was fired, but in 2 years at FIU is 17-9. In the 5 years before Butch Davis took over at FIU, they had 17 wins. So in 2 years, he's matched the mark of 5 years. He's a good recruiter. The issue is, he is 67 years old now, and this is the definition of a retread hire. I don't know if this is really the best route for Miami. So do you guys want him back? Mostly for you Canes fans. Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. He's going to be a candidate. Maybe you see something crazy like Butch Davis takes over and Greg Schiano comes along as the DC and Schiano becomes the coach in waiting for Butch Davis. Just letting that one out there as a possibility. I know he's a Jimmy Johnson disciple. Miami wants to get back to the good old days. Maybe Butch Davis can actually make that happen. But at number 1, I think the legit number 1 candidate right now for the Miami Hurricanes job. I'm sorry, Oregon fans. You lost Willie Taggart to his dream job at FSU, and now you could lose Mario Cristobal to his dream job the Miami Hurricanes. He played as a Miami offensive lineman, was an assistant coach, and damn do we know he is an elite recruiter, and the Canes kind of need that right now after the current class outside the top 30. He is among the best recruiters in all of college football. So yes, Miami is his dream job. Here's why maybe he won't take it. Oregon's in pretty good shape right now. A really good class coming in this year, a top 10 national class at Oregon is insanely impressive. Justin Herbert is also coming back. And by the way, he has a $10 million buyout through January 31st of 2019. Now, maybe Miami says, we don't care, we got the boosters to pay for it. But if Mario wants the job, I think he'd get it. The question is, for me at least, is he going to leave Oregon, a team that should compete for the Pac-12 next year, for a Miami team that is desperately searching for more talent on offense because it did not go well this year? All right, to recap the top 10 Miami Hurricanes head coach candidates. Number 10, Urban Meyer. It's not going to happen, just so you guys know. Manny Diaz, a bit of a long shot. Rex Ryan, I was stunned to even hear a link to it, but we'll include him on there. Greg Schiano, number 7. Lane Kiffin, number 6. And then the top 5, I actually very much like as more legitimate targets. Dana Holgorsen, more attainable targets too. Mark Stoops at number 4. Dino at number 3, Butch Davis at number 2, and Mario Cristobal at number 1. So folks, let me know in the comments section, who should Miami hire as its next head coach? If it's a name not on this list, let me know who you have in mind. I'm sure there'll be other options. I'll be sure to respond in the comments section, but I'm going Mario Cristobal if you can lure him away from Oregon.